Let's start with number 5. I'm going right down to Miami. Number 13, Dan Marino would be a beast in today's NFL. You watch old Dan Marino clips, he's getting crushed behind there. They didn't protect the quarterbacks. He has the biggest arm you could ever imagine. I'm watching last night. They're playing up against the Patriots in '94, and he's just lighting it up. Marino's arm, still to this day, my favorite passer in the history of the sport. That includes Mahomes. That includes all of the other Howlitzers we've seen. And this guy did it without the rules protecting quarterbacks today. He led the NFL in passing yards 5 different times, held the NFL record for completions, passing yards, and passing touchdowns when he retired. And he did it all with an offensive line protecting him, but with the refs not coddling him. I'm telling you, Marino, it is a thing of beauty to watch him pass the football, and that was in the 80s and the early 90s. You put him in 2019, 2020, who knows what kind of numbers he put up, and who knows what kind of highlights he would have. Number 4, a running back that today's generation might not be as familiar with, but if you watch the highlights, you'll fall in love. Number 4, Earl Campbell. Earl Campbell wasn't going down then. He wouldn't go down now. Hello, Derrick Henry. This is someone who would be doing what you did last year times 2. One of the most impossible guys to tackle. Look at him. This is a running back. The guy came in the league. His first 3 years in the league led the league in rushing, okay? Has the most 200-plus rushing yards in a single season ever in 1980. Did it 4 different times. And he has more 200-plus rushing yards in one season than Walter, than Emmett, than Marcus Allen had in their careers combined. Only played 8 NFL seasons because of the injuries, but I don't even know why I'm talking. I should just stop talking, let you look at Earl Campbell highlights, put him in today's game. No one's bringing him down. They couldn't bring him down then. They couldn't bring him down now, which leads a very nice segue to number 3. Let's go to the greatest athlete to ever play in the NFL. That's the great Jim Brown. He's number 3. Jim Brown would absolutely be a beast in today's game because he wasn't just this amazing, unstoppable running back who was a 10-time All-Pro and a 13-time Pro Bowl selection. He also led the NFL in receiving yards 6 different times from the running back spot. Yes, let me hear it. Led the NFL in receiving yards 6 different times from the running back spot. Had over 1,500 career receptions in an era where they didn't typically throw to the tailback, or back then, the halfback. He had 14 different... I'm sorry. This is all... I'm sorry here, guys. This is me. I'm sorry, guys. I'm wrong on this one. I was talking about, I'm sorry. Hey, let's scrap it here. Jim Brown, I got my numbers mixed up here. I'm reading off one thing I did. Scrap it. Do the whole show over again. Jim Brown, great running back. Number 2, let's go. Number 2, Lawrence Taylor. That's bad. Number 2, Lawrence Taylor. Thank you, producers, for not getting in my ear and correcting me when I made the first 11 mistakes on that one. Number 2, Lawrence Taylor. 7 consecutive seasons with 10 sacks or more. Could not be stopped. Had 3 guys on him every game and still dominated. 20.5 sacks in the 86 season. An MVP from the defensive position. But my thing with LT was his first year. LT comes in the first year, all right, of the NFL for him. They went from 4-12 to immediately becoming a playoff team, and he has an incredible season where he turns the Giants franchise around. Couldn't be stopped. This guy, we know LT what he would do. Now, number 1, let's read Jerry Rice's stats as they should be written. Number 1, Jerry Rice. This is the guy whose numbers would simply be just extrapolated by tenfold in today's game. Rice. 1,549 receptions, 22,000 receiving yards, 197 receiving touchdowns, all NFL records. He has 77 more receiving touchdowns than Larry Fitzgerald, who's number 2 on the list with 120. The numbers are insane. They're like Wayne Gretzky in hockey. But here's the thing. His position specifically, do you know how many rules have been put in today's game to aid the receiver? You can't touch a receiver now within 5 yards. Over the middle, you can't hit a receiver. Jerry Rice took punishment. Jerry Rice still put up better numbers. Jerry Rice would be everything you'd want in an NFL receiver in 2020, and he already was that in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. There's my list. Jerry Rice, Lawrence Taylor, 3, Jim Brown, with Jerry Rice's stats being written, 4, Earl Campbell, and 5, Dan Marino. Kay Adams, who did I leave off on my list?
Peter Schrager. Peter Schrager. Do you mean to tell me that the NFL's all-time leading rusher, Walter Payton, was just a little mention, a footnote on somebody. Are we kidding here right now? He's not on this list? You're telling me this right here would not dominate in 2020? The speed, the vision, the power, the balance, the elusiveness, and he could catch. He caught nearly 500 passes in his career. He would fit right in, and he would be an all-time modern-day legend.
I can't argue. He's sweetness, okay? He could easily be number one on this list. He's unbelievable. This is my 5, and I went with Earl Campbell over Walter Payton. No, nothing against Walter Payton. I'm sure he would be a beast. I just see Earl Campbell in those baby blue Oilers jerseys, and I'm picturing him just running over NFL defenders today as well. But yes, you can easily put Walter Payton in instead of any of these 5 guys, and I would not argue at all. Who else? Who wants me?
I know we're supposed to fight your list here, Peter, but the sell job was just so unassailable. I was waiting for to hear about Jim Brown's interception and slugging percentage if we gave you long enough. Peter, look, it's a fine list. Little stock, Peter, and it's not like you to be like, Jim Brown, greatest player. You didn't see Jim Brown, Peter. That is not your generation. That is well before you. Let me give you a name. Let me give you a name that is your generation. You know who would dominate in today's NFL? Doug Flutie. Give me Flutie out of Boston College, the lowest drafted Heisman winner ever, an 11th round pick. This is one of those guys around which a brilliant offensive coordinator would tailor an offense. They'd move Flutie out of the pocket. They'd get him running. They'd do run-pass option. No one cares how tall he is. We just had a rookie of the year who's about the same height as he is. Flutie would kill. This is a gentleman who was teammates with Walter Payton, Thurman Thomas, Andre Reed, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, and Tom Brady. He's seen it all. He's done it all. The only thing Doug Flutie did do right was play in the wrong generation, my friends. Right now, he'd be an MVP-type quarterback, and it's incredible because he had 20,000 rushing yards. Oh, no, wait, hold on a second. That was Jim Brown. But Doug Flutie was really good.
I like the drop kick extra point. I love it. Burleson, you played in an era with so many stars, but I'm going to let you have the final word here. Who did we forget? Hello, Doug Flutie, Patriots highlights.
Man, I love those Flutie flakes. For me, I'm looking at a guy that was ahead of his time. When we saw him play, he literally had our jaws dropping to the floor. So you're trying to say that Barry Sanders wouldn't play in today's game with his ability to literally break guys' ankles and tear ACLs, and he did it behind an offensive line that oftentimes wasn't blocking for him? Could you imagine him in an explosive offense? Could you imagine him with Pat Mahomes? Could you imagine him under Bill Belichick? The list goes on and on. He would fit in any and every offense. He's one of the best screen running backs, and also he was physical as well. You know, retired after 9 years, and he could have broke every record we're all talking about. He just decided to shut it down because of his respect for sweetness.
Nice. I love it.